Well, hello, all my YouTube people. I haven't done a video in a little while, and this is about Uber and Lyft and the liability dangers that we face. And what exactly am I talking about? Okay, now, as you know, we have insurance from Lyft and Uber, which covers in the event of an accident in certain circumstances and things like that. But this particular video is about more the dangers of transporting children and minors and why you shouldn't do that. Now, first off, now I'm in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, it's against the law for me to transport a minor without an adult. According to Lyft and Uber's policy, that's the case with them, that it's against their policy. Now, here's the thing. I know everybody wants to make money, but what potentially can happen? Now, in the instance, and I've talked to attorneys about this, so I'm a little educated on it. In the instance of transporting a minor, now that's against state law. The penalties for that could be pretty severe. I don't know if they could charge you for kidnapping because it was done at usually the parents' request. Now, like I had one the other night. It was a woman named Liza, her account. I go to pick up, and there's two 14-year-old boys there. Okay. And when I asked them their age, they told me. I said, I apologize, and they had already got in the car, so I didn't see them come up from behind me. And I said, listen, guys, you're going to have to get out because I can't transport you. So the kid's saying, I'm not getting out. And, calls his mom and starts, misgendering me purposely and telling me that, I'm not getting out of his car and this man dressed like a girl is this and that. And of course, what I've found is when people don't get their way, they look for something else to attack you with. So in my case, they attacked me for being transgender. I mean, let's face it, if I was a Muslim or a black man or something else, the little racist, white fucks would have done that too. But nonetheless, I canceled the ride, and I told the kids flat out, I said, listen, your ride is over. I canceled it. Now you are trespassing, okay? If you don't exit my car, I will come back there and exit you. Yes. That's right. I told them I would grab them and pull them out of my car because at that point now they're threatening me. So it went on. They finally got out, slammed my doors, and started yelling at the mother. Now I'm, with the mother on the phone. Now I immediately called and reported this to Lyft about the experience and what happened. I got this all on dash cam, by the way. And by the way, I highly suggest to all of you to get dash cams. You must have them, because in the event an event like this happens and things go really, really south, you have evidence. The fact that, I'm on dash cam, assures that I'm going to handle things right. And when you have a little turd like these two little turds that were just mouthing off, you're covered. You're covered there. But so I reported it right away to Lyft. Now, I also got, and I got, the person I talked to on the phone, thank you for reporting this and that, and we'll notify the rider and we'll take swift action, which is all, in my opinion, horseshit. They won't, I've literally had an instance where a Lyft rider, I canceled the ride because they were transporting a kid, and then the ping came in an Uber, and I went around to the same address. And the funny thing was, actually 3 times I collected the no-show fee, okay, on both platforms. So that was actually pretty funny. But the end result is, if you transport a kid with, that it's a minor, you face criminal prosecution, possibly, depending upon your state, okay, and immediate deactivation if somebody complains. Now, will they deactivate that rider? I doubt it. I doubt they're going to do that because let's face it, as drivers, I'm sure you heard the horror stories. Lyft and Uber both care about the rider more than the driver. The driver, they'll just throw us under the bus and get another one. We are not cared about. We are a necessary evil that they have to deal with. Let's face it. They really wouldn't be anything without us, but they don't look at it that way. Because they look at it simply as there's some other poor slob that's going to get in his car and drive for us because we don't care. And they don't stand behind us. They won't support us. So this morning, I received an email from their trust and safety team saying that I used threatening language against these passengers. And that if they get other reports that my account will be terminated, not terminated, that they will take action against my account. And I went back at this guy saying that if you look at the support feed, you're going to find that I complained about this rider first. And I did immediately, and that's the importance of doing that. When you have an issue with a rider, take the second right then and there to call Lyft or Uber and act on it right away, because normally they're going to believe the first guy in, and that's what they did. You know, I got an email back from the guy saying thank you for clarifying this. Now, I also earlier this week I have a service dog, by the way. My service dog Louie is registered. He is a service animal, and I have all the paperwork to back it up. Now, any of you that are drivers that have service animals, keep this in mind. You are allowed to transport your animal with you. You're allowed to have your animal with you. The same federal law that forces us to have or to transport service animals is the same federal law that allows us to have support animals. So stand up for your rights. This action, these recent actions that I received over, when I got this letter from the people at Lyft Trust and Safety about my service animal, I had already cleared it through. I talked to somebody at Uber or at Lyft corporate about my service dog. And they said, absolutely no problem. I said, okay, it's on my profile that I have a service animal. I also have it on my Lyft profile. I have a service dog. They're obligated under law to allow us to have that. And, I'm not going to get into why I have one, why I need one. You don't need to divulge that, just like we're not allowed to ask them as riders why they need a service dog, or if they're disabled, what is their disability. Sometimes I will, depending upon the situation, I have, when people say I have a service animal, I will ask them, if you care to share anything that I may need to know due to a medical issue, feel free, because I have some EMT training, and I was a certified rescue diver, and I hold 2 certificates from that. Plus, I also have a CPR certification. So, and I tell them flat out, feel free. I mean, if you want to tell me, fine. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine too. Because in the event of an emergency, I would want to know. Say somebody's epileptic or something like that, is there something, and I did have, this was interesting, speaking of which, epileptics, I had a rider. Now I have streaming cable TV in my car. I had a rider who was an epileptic, and she said to me, is there any way to turn these televisions off because I have epilepsy and it'll bother me? I said, certainly, ma'am, not a problem, and I immediately pulled the plug on both TVs, because I understand the screen refresh rate can actually trigger them into a seizure. So obviously, 99 and 9/10% of my riders love my televisions, but you have that one that has a medical issue, and so you have to cater to that. But keep something in mind: kids with no car seats. Now, see, under Pennsylvania state law, a kid without a car seat is allowed to be in a taxi cab, but he's not allowed to be in an Uber car. He's allowed to be in a commercial vehicle like a taxi cab, a bus, a train, or an airplane. Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? You can put a kid in an airplane, go 600 miles an hour, but you can't in an Uber car go on 35 mile an hour through the city. Makes a lot of good sense, but that's the way it is. It just is. And there's nothing you can really do about it. But, say you put those kids in that car. You want to be the money-hungry Uber driver, and you put that kid in your car. You get in an accident. First off, let me explain to you what's going to happen. Your account's going to get locked up because you were in the accident. Then they're going to find out there was a kid in the car. That means you violated state law, you violated Uber or Lyft's policy, okay? You could possibly, A, go to jail, B, lose your license. Uber and Lyft's insurance may be able to back out because now they're saying, hey, you violated our policy, so we're not sticking our insurance under the bus because you decided to violate law. So, and then what happens? Your butt gets sued because you were violating both rule, their policy, and the state law. So what you have to determine as a driver is how hungry are you. Me personally, I'm not that hungry. I'm really not. I'm not going to risk. First off, and over and above that, over and above the rules, the laws, and everything else, I could not live with myself if I got in an accident and a kid got hurt. Couldn't do it. So, for you guys that are money-hungry people that are out there taking anything that rolls down the road, that's good. Have at it, man. I was actually Lyft drove a guy who was on a pool ride where the driver ran a traffic light, got into an accident. There was a lady with a kid in the car, and the guy's getting his butt sued off. So is it worth it for the $5 ride? I don't know, guys. That's on you, but personally, I wouldn't do it. I would steer clear of that. And understand something, Lyft and Uber is not going to be in your corner. They're going to throw you under the bus just as quick as look at you. That's just the way it is. They're a big corporate giant that don't really give a shit about us. Because let's face it, when a PAX hole turns around and complains, what happens? We're immediately waitlisted, and until they do their investigation, which they don't do any investigation. I was deactivated on Uber once because a rider happened to say, oh, I think my driver was drunk. Well, that was after I 1-star rated this ignorant asshole. And all I requested Uber to do was, please don't pair me with this guy again because he was extremely rude. And he was rude. So what happened? His retaliation was to complain that way, and I lost a day and a half of driving as a result of that. So cover yourself, get a dash cam, and know that Lyft and Uber really don't give a shit about us. They're going to throw you under the bus just as quick as look at you. That being said, y'all have a good day. Stay safe. Watch your driving out there.